record because we're very fortunate that we have such a large group. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, if you've paid attention to how many people are in the group, but we actually have about 75 members at this point, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
It's pretty exciting because that's a lot of people who really need this program and they need the help. And so moral of the story is all 75 of us do not live in Eastern Standard Time in Pennsylvania. Some of you aren't even in our time zone. So we like to record because, you know, not everybody is okay with this time of day. So please know that we really appreciate those of you who are getting on in live time. We're glad to see you listen. And for those of you who are listening to the recording, thanks for taking the time to do it. So I will just quickly ask that you guys right now at this time, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's an option to mute yourself. Leave your videos on just so we can see you because that makes it more fun. And at any point, if you have a question or you want to jump in, please just unmute yourself and feel free to just jump in, okay? So there's no rules with this. But anyways, it'll just make so that there's no backlag for everybody listening. Michelle, if you can do me a favor, as people are jumping on, if you can just do some muting. I don't know if that's possible for you to do that or not, but that would be great. So tonight, what I would like for us to do is I would like to cover just a couple topics, but I also want to give you guys a chance so that we can answer your questions. So, Michelle, what's wrong?
I can't do that. I think you'd have to give me some sort of privileges.
Oh, okay. So I'll just try to pay attention. If we have any issues, then I'll go ahead and just sort of stop, okay? Sound good? But I am going to ask Michelle to do something. I'm going to ask that Michelle monitor the chat section. So I would like for you guys tonight, if you have specific questions that you want us to answer, I want you to put them in the chat section. I won't necessarily address them right now in the beginning. We'll look at them and cover them at the end. But I also want you to know that I'm not a 2B expert. I'm doing 2B with you. And so what that means is that, just like I used to tell my students sometimes when they would stump me with a question that I didn't know the answer to, I'd say, that's a really great question. Well, I taught high school, so I would say, why don't you look that up and let us know the answer tomorrow? But I'm not going to ask you to look it up. I'm going to look it up, or my coaches and I are going to look it up. So if I don't know it, I'm not going to just pretend that I do. I'm going to look it up. Those of you who are in Alana's coach test group, you know that we have access to her. Some of you are just in our group, which is just fine. So we can actually take your question and we can pass it on to Alana if necessary, okay? So that's my 2 cents on the comment section, the chat section. Put your questions there. Now, here's the deal. I really love this group. I'm like, every morning I get excited. I'm like, let me log in and see who's lost weight, who's having fun. How many of you are feeling that way? You're like, let me see how the others are doing. Yeah? Anybody excited to check in? There we go. Okay. So
I want to say that I woke up this morning to a Facebook message saying from somebody that said, I lost 7 pounds since last Monday. And I'm like, put that in the group.
Yes, I got one just like that with 5 pounds. And I said the same thing. I said, share that with the group. So I'm so jazzed when I see these messages that's showing that you guys are having this, you know, this success and that you love the program and that you're feeling better. We're all so excited for you. But I also want you to know that there will be mornings very soon where you wake up and you get on the scale and it didn't move. Or you might gain a pound or 2. I want you to be ready for that day, because if you're not careful when that day happens, and let's be honest, it will happen, you may find yourself discouraged. And what happens typically when we're discouraged, we kind of go back. It's like a backslide, and we're like, I just want that donut, or I just want, you know, whatever that old habit was. And so I just want you to go into this knowing that that's going to happen one of these days. And I need you to just say, I'm going to press forward anyways. Alana tells us, if you've watched some of the videos, you know that she says we're either losing or we're learning. And the teacher in me loves that. And what she means is that if you didn't lose weight yesterday, you need to go back to that tracker. You need to say, okay, what did I eat yesterday? I will tell you guys that I was on a move. Like, I lost 3.2 pounds so far. And I was like, woohoo! And then this morning it wasn't a full pound and I was mad for a second. I was like, oh, come on. I was on a roll. But then I went back and I looked at my tracker and I said, yesterday for breakfast, you had ham, like ham slices with your eggs. Ham is salty. At lunchtime, I had olives. Olives are salty. And so I started to really like scratch my head. And then I realized like I gave myself a treat last night. I went to Target, and at Target, I had my black coffee, but then I had salted chocolate almonds. And I know that's dinner and done, find other fun. I know, but that was my other fun. I picked that. But I looked and I said, wow, you had more salt yesterday than you did the other days. And so I want you ladies to start to do that. I want you to, instead of saying like, oh, I ruined it, I gotta go binge and eat this thing. I want you to say, what did I do yesterday that was different than those other days? So that's why this tracking is super important for you guys, so that you can look back and kind of be like a detective and say, what caused this? So I really want you just to be ready for that. I also want you to know that with this group, it gets busy, right? How many of you have logged into the feed at nighttime and you're like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff that went on today during the day. I want you to know that the coaches, so myself, Michelle, the rest of us, we're in this group to monitor it and to check in with all of you. So you will see us commenting on almost everybody's post. We try to. We want to cheer you on. We want to know that we're here. We're here for you. But you are certainly welcome to comment on other people's stuff, to encourage other people. I'm telling you, you're going to form some really incredible friendships from this group. And you're going to be so jazzed when, Kelly loses 10 pounds. You're like, Kelly, I'm so happy for you, because you know what obstacles Kelly had in the way, or whoever. Like, you're going to form these virtual friendships. And so the only way to form those is to actually get involved in the group. So we have 75 people in our group, and I promise you, not all 75 are already engaging. So if you start to look at how many people are really posting or sharing or documenting, it's not everybody. And so my advice would be that if you're not sharing the food, the nutrition tracking, all the things, if you're not actively engaged, I would say dig down a little deeper. Try to make some friends here. Try to engage. I'm not saying comment on all 100 posts every night, but just try to make this part of your community, because what will happen is, we've got Memorial Day, next weekend? It's crazy. Next weekend's going to be hard for us, right? We're going to the barbecues. We're going to the different picnics. There's going to be alcohol. There's all these things that are probably going to set some of us into that feeling of, I just want to backslide, or I just want to do this. And what we need is we need to lean in. And we need to lean into each other. So I'm just going to ask that you guys do that. The more present you are, I promise you something, the absolutely better results you're going to have. My challengers who are with it, they check in, they comment on each other's stuff, they get banging results. And then sometimes I'll get clients who, the month will be over after a challenge group, and I just say hey, Kelly, how are you doing? You were so quiet in the group. And Kelly's like, I just got behind a few days, so I quit, right? And I'm just using Kelly as a fake name. Like, there's lots of Kellys that are out there, and I don't want you to be a Kelly. I want you to be like really just here with us, okay? So I just wanted to put that out there for you guys to think about. And then I also want you to be careful, because you know how we tell you, when how Alana says hands on the wheel? Have you guys seen that video yet where she talks about keeping your hands on the wheel? I also need you to, how horses wear blinders when they race? Horses wear blinders? It's so that they don't get off track and they don't start looking in their other lanes. I need you to get yourself a tiny little set of blinders, because Kelly's going to lose 5 pounds one day and you're only going to lose 3. And Kate's going to gain 6, and, it's going to happen. And you have to be ready for it. Just like you have to be ready for the day that the scale goes up. You can't play the comparison game. There are so many different factors for some of you in losing weight. And the scale, as Alana tells us, it's just a measurement tool. It's just a way of checking in. So I just really want you, as we go through this whole challenge, I want you to just look at, what were your habits like before? What are you changing? What are you proud of? And keep those blinders on so that you don't get discouraged, okay? Can we make a deal? Everybody give me a thumbs up. Deal. I'll run my own race, right? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay.
I don't know what's up with my camera, but
I can't see you now.
I don't know. I'm working on it. Technical issue.
All right. We'll keep we'll keep going here. And so the last thing that I really I don't have a ton, like I said, that I wanted to cover, but I think that it's important that we think about this. And so I'm going to tell you something. When I started my journey, which my journey has been going on for a while, 4 years now, it's really awesome to be able to say I've been helping people for 4 years. It's pretty fun. But one of the things that when I was a challenger, my coach said to me, she said, "Oh, you need to do personal development." And I was like, "What's that?" Like, that sounds like something for people who like need counseling. And she's like, no. She's like, it's for everybody. Everybody should be doing personal development. And I was like, well, I'm a teacher, so I do professional development. I'm not going to do personal development like we do enough of that. And she was like, no, like, you need to take care of yourself. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, you should really read every day. She said, she gave us a goal as challengers. She said, you should read or listen, because some of you don't like to read, to some type of personal development for at least 10 to 20 minutes a day. Because if you're not careful, you can get inside your head, right? And the problems that are, you're carrying around, they can start to weigh you down. And so what you need to do is you need to bring yourself out of that space. There's a quote that I really like, and it talks about how ships, they don't sink because of the water that's around them. They sink because the water gets in them. And so for some of you in your journeys, you're sinking because of what's gotten to you. And maybe for some of you, what's around you. And so it's up to you to change who you are today. Because guess what? Where you're going 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to look back and you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm so different than the person I was when I started in May in that challenge group. And I believe that 100% because I'm so different, right? I know that this is going to happen for you. But as your body changes, right? Because your body's going to change. You're going to lose the weight if that's your goal. You're going to get more, more muscles or more definition or whatever the goal is. It's going to happen with time if you can keep showing up. But what's going to happen is that you need to change the inside as much as you're going to change the outside. And all of you are coming to us with different sets of baggage. And some of you are probably thinking, no, I don't have that much baggage. Or you're thinking, girlfriend, I got all the baggage. We don't have time for all this, right? Like, this is a whole night's worth of baggage, right? So here's the deal. I can't sit here tonight and tell you everybody should read Grace, Not Perfection. No, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that everybody should read about going gluten-free. No, can't tell you that either. I will tell you that you need to sit down and you need to say, what are my troubles? What are my weaknesses? What do I want to be better at? Or what do I want to learn more about? And that is what you should be doing your personal development on. Maybe you have struggled your entire life with self-confidence or body image stuff. So maybe you need to work on making yourself feel stronger and feel more positive about your inside, so that maybe your inside's really confident, but your outside's not. Like, there are things that all of you need to work on. For example, some of you may have a condition. I don't know if anyone here has an autoimmune disease. I have Hashimoto's, so it's a thyroid condition. And I remember being diagnosed super young, and I was just had my son, and we were getting ready to do fertility stuff to have my daughter. And I remember being like so overwhelmed. They're like, oh, well, the first problem is that your thyroid normal thyroid ranges between 0.4 to like 4's getting kind of high. Mine was 13.28. And I remember being like, whoa, like, I got something wrong with me, and I didn't know where to start. So I had just become a coach, and I started to read about the disease. And so if you have a disease, whatever it is, you should try to become an expert in it. Get the books on it. Learn what type of nutrition is best for your disease. I will tell you that I learned that people with thyroid conditions, with Hashimoto's, they do so much better on a gluten-free diet. Not because they have celiacs, but because a lot of times our immune system takes gluten and it mimics it, and it wrecks our body. And so for me, I dug down deep in books like Gluten is My Bitch, right? Okay, I'm like, I'm going to win gluten. But I will tell you that I had to learn this stuff. I had to read the books before I could apply it, because I needed to be confident in what I was doing, so that when my aunt or my dad or my mom questioned and said, well, come on, you don't have a gluten allergy, I could be like, no, here's what I've read. here's what I've researched. Some of you are new to clean eating, right? And when you go to the grocery store, you feel totally overwhelmed. Does anyone feel that way where you're like, these labels, oh my gosh, right? I was there too. 4 years ago, I was like totally clueless, and it was so overwhelming. But I bought books like this one. Tosca Rena is amazing. She is like the clean eating goddess. And so I bought her books, and I bought just any kind of book that would make me more knowledgeable and more confident. And so I would encourage you this weekend, if you have 5 minutes, actually take more than 5 because it's amazing. Go to Barnes & Noble. I know we buy everything on Amazon now. Go to the bookstore, grab yourself a coffee or something, walk through the aisles. If you have children, leave them at home with someone. Go by yourself and go through and decide, what do I need help with in my life? That whole section of like self-help, personal development, go visit it. Pull some of them, pull those books off the shelf and see where could you improve your life. And then I want you to go home and buy it on Amazon because you'll save some money. No, I'm kidding. That's my generation, and that's why poor Barnes & Noble is going out of business. But we're going to buy it at Barnes & Noble. I don't care. But moral of the story is, do something for yourself. And for those of you who are sitting here listening and you're thinking, I don't have time to read a book, there's something called Audible. Audible lets you listen to books, so you don't have to do it. So if you're in the car all the time, going to your child's soccer practice or whatever, you have a long commute to work, put in earbuds, listen to this, make your life better. While I get ready in the morning, while I get a shower, I listen to personal development so that I can be better for myself, for my family, for my clients. So I'm just going to encourage you guys to do that. Really decide, what do you want to get better at? Not just nutrition, not just exercise, but what needs a little bit of help, and focus on it. And I promise you, if you're willing to just try a little bit, you're going to grow, and you're going to be so glad that you did it. Okay, so that's really, for me, that's what I wanted to share with you guys tonight. It's 8:50. I like to keep your steps to like a half an hour. And so at this time, I'm going to just offer, if Vanessa, Michelle, Kate, anyone wants to jump in, of my coaches that are on, or we can answer the questions. If anybody has any, you can put them in the chat section right now. And you're welcome to just unmute as well.
I wondered if anybody had any questions about exercise. I see people are still exercising. Because I looked up the tips on that, about the eating and the exercise. And she said if you're doing like low intensity, like today I did active flex, which honestly I felt, for me, I'm like, oh, that's like a waste of time, that workout, because I don't burn enough calories. But for a lot of the lower intensity workouts, and I think it even said, I'd have to look at the list. I can put it in the group, that you just go as is, and again, use the tracking. But if you're doing a program that, has a nutrition plan, you can follow that nutrition plan, or you can try the 2B mindset along with it. Just do the tracking. And if you're doing a more intense program, you definitely will want to make sure you're using the More Sure method.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I'm just going to go on record and say that I've been using the containers for going on, 3 years now. This is like my 3-year anniversary of starting 21 Day Fix Extreme. And even for me, that I realized that I was like, it's a lot of vegetables. Like, I'm just going to say, I come home and I'm like, man, I thought I had enough food prep, but I just don't have enough vegetables. Yeah. So this week I have, I have cauliflower rice made, and I shaved up my Brussels sprouts. So I have enough. But those are the two things for me, the exercise and the having enough vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Is anybody noticing a lot of extra gas? Like, are you gassy? Are you going to the bathroom more? Is anyone having those types of problems at all? Deanna's like, yeah. Yeah, it's totally normal. It really is. I remember when we started 80 Day Obsession, there was like a whole thread of everyone was like, why do I smell so bad? Like, what is this? But it's just your body, it's just getting used to the changes. So don't think there's anything wrong. Just do it when no one's around, right?
I've been in the store with Piper and she's like, Mom. And then I'm like, what? And then I just run away from her.
Oh my.
I just wanted to add too, to Sarah's, to go on, but sort of combining Sarah's and Michelle's points, is if there is if you have a problem with vegetables, or you don't like vegetables, or you are new to this clean eating thing, or you do have you have binge eating. I sometimes love to go on a little binge of sweets, right? So whatever the issue is, there's a book about it. It's out there. So find what it is. And I'm a huge Audible fan. I listen in the car. I listen while I clean the house. I put my earbuds in. I'll go outside and walk the dog, and I'll listen then. So find what you need just some help with, or some support with. Maybe you just need to hear another person that's had the same type of story. So Tosca Reno has a whole book about emotional eating. That was the book that Sarah held up about clean eating. The woman who did clean eating also has a whole book about emotional eating. There's a book, I forget the one that we read, Sarah, in that group, about binge eating.
Is it the Goddess Revolution
The
one?
Goddess Revolution, right. So whatever it is, if you need a little extra push, or just know that you're not alone out there, the book is out there. Mm-hmm. So, or maybe it's exercise, like Michelle was saying, find what you need. And if you need recommendations, I was going to say, if you need recommendations, mm-hmm. I've been now reading them for almost 4 years. So just ask us.
Yeah, we're happy to help you guys.
Yeah, and if I look it up on Audible and you have Audible and I'm able to lend them to you, let me know, because I have plenty in there that I have read or not read, honestly, or I started and finish, and I would love to get more mileage out of the money I paid for them.
Yes, absolutely. Same here.
Cool. All right. Anything else before we wrap up tonight, ladies?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
You mentioned Memorial Day and drinking, and I guess I haven't watched all the videos yet. I'm still kind of easing my way in this week. I'm on a business trip now, which sucks. So a lot of times on business trips, we go to happy hours, Memorial Day this weekend. Like, is there like a suggested, like, one drink a day is okay? We're really trying to eliminate it every day. Like, I didn't have a donut earlier this week, which was the hardest thing ever, but I knew I was going to have a beer tonight. So
Vanessa, do you want to take this one? Vanessa's like a rock star at fun little drinks.
So I love just like vodka seltzer with lime. That's the lowest calorie, or lemon. That's the lowest calorie drink. Also taking wine, if you take a glass of wine and cutting it with seltzer, and then just having water in between every drink. So don't say I'm only going to have, right? Because that's where we get ourselves in trouble, because then we feel like we fail. We didn't keep to our promise, then we feel awful. So why bother? And so I'm just now going to have all the wine and all the beer and all the food. So just tell yourself, if I'm going to have wine, I'm going to cut it with seltzer each time. You can put a squeeze of lemon in there. It's really good. It sounds odd, but it's really good. Or I'm going to have a vodka with seltzer with lime, and I am going to have a water between each and every drink. If you haven't watched The More Shore, I know you're supposed to watch the videos in order, but watch The More Shore before Memorial Day, because she gives you a cycle. She tells you exactly, if you want it, go have it. Enjoy it. Enjoy your beer. Enjoy your wine. Enjoy your margarita. If it was a margarita, those things are pretty calorie laden. I might limit to one margarita and then keep to something else for the rest of the day or night. But she gives you a little cycle of the way you should enjoy your treat and what you need to do beforehand to really enjoy it. And then, get back on the plan. Is that helpful? I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. I had somebody message me that her kids should come, and she has like 2 parties this weekend. And I said, well, you just have to remember why you're at the party. You're there to socialize. You're not there to like stuff your face. So she's like, maybe I should take my own food. And I'm like, yeah, you can take some of your own, eat in advance. If you're using Shakeology, have your shake. And I had my cousin message me and said I had 2 glasses of wine last night, but I got all my water, so I think that's what's most freeing about this program for me, is that I don't feel as guilty, because I know, especially through the tracking, that I can tell what'll happen. And I'm just going to be flat out honest with everybody in the group, that my weight is about the same but I know that I have not kicked my sugar issue totally to the curb. So my weight has gone down 2 pounds, and now it is just leveled off, and I've just stayed at the same weight. And for me, I'm like, I really have already learned some things because I'm not doing 80-day obsession. I'm doing 20 to 30-minute workouts because of my elbow. I can see now, like, I'm like, all right, I can have a Starbucks chai tea latte and not gain weight. I'm not necessarily going to lose weight, but how bad do I want it? You know, so I just think being able to watch yourself in that way. So that it's really freeing for me.
And Deanne, you said it was because of work, right? That you were going out for work?
Yeah, I'm on a 2-day business trip. So
okay, so really, I would look at that sort of selfishly as like a networking opportunity and try to get more information and network with my colleagues and my boss and try to get to know them. And yeah, have my 1 or 2 drinks. But Alana says keep your hands on the wheel. So hold that drink or hold that water and talk to the people that are there. That's why you're there. You're there to network. You're there to get to know the people that you work with, or whatever your purpose is, or the client. I don't know why you're there, but is to get to know that person. So get to know them. You never know what type of useful information you may get for future use. So tuck that away.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I always try to set up the scenario too when I'm going into something like that with the expectation of like, I'm only going to have 1 drink tonight or 2 drinks, and try to set it up that way. And Vanessa, I agree with you with the water in between and stuff. But what my sister taught me years ago was to order a club soda with whatever drink I'm ordering. And that's what I do automatically. No matter what I'm drinking, I have a club soda on the side. I alternate between the 2 and take sips. Doesn't always work, but a lot of the time it does. And I think if I have a plan in my head ahead of time, I stick to it better than just going in free and clear thinking, oh, whoopee, I'm going to have a lot of fun. So try it. I don't know if it'll work for you. Everybody's different.
Club soda is also great because people don't know. If you have a club soda with lime, people don't know what it is. It could be a drink. It could be a tonic. It could be gin and tonic. People don't know what it is. So you could still look social and not have to answer any questions like, oh, are you pregnant? Why aren't you drinking?
I hope they don't
people don't ask me that anymore. But and then the other, I can't believe I forgot this drink because it's my favorite. Champagne is only 90 calories per glass. So have a champagne. I think it's always, it's just always so fancy. It puts a smile on my face. It puts me in a good mood. So champagne, glass of water, champagne, glass of water.
I do that a lot too. I do Prosecco. If I have it somewhere, I'll just order a Prosecco. And at least I feel like I'm having fun with everybody else, but they're usually smaller too. So that kind of works for me. And I like to drink. I like my wine. I'll be totally honest.
Me too.
I really enjoyed our time together. It's awesome. And I hope that everybody watching the recording really gets a lot out of it too.
All right, ladies, thank you for joining us. If you still have more questions, you can post them in our actual group page. And we'll see you all soon. See you next Thursday.
Bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye. See ya.